General Kethver stood on the bridge of his massive warship and looked at the blue planet below. His forearms crossed behind his back as he studied the readings on his screens. This world called Earth was supposed to be easy. The creatures living there had not even left their own solar system yet. They used primitive rockets and simple weapons. His fleet of 200 ships could destroy this planet in less than a day. The general had done this 47 times before. Every time was the same. His ships would arrive, demand surrender, and the local species would give up without a fight. Some tried to resist for a few hours, but they always failed. The Zephyrian Empire had the best technology in the galaxy. Their weapons could cut through any metal. Their shields could stop any attack. Their computers could predict every enemy move. Kethver pressed a button on his command chair. The communication system activated and sent a message to the planet below. His voice was cold and direct. Primitive species of the third planet. This is General Kethver of the Zephyrian Empire. Your world now belongs to us. Surrender immediately, and your deaths will be quick. Resist, and we will make you suffer. The general expected the usual response: fear, panic, maybe some pathetic attempt to negotiate. Instead, silence filled the communication channel for several minutes. Then a human voice came through the speakers. The voice sounded calm, almost bored. This is Commander Jake Collins of the Earth Defense Force. I got your message, alien boy. Here's my answer. Come and take it. Kethver blinked his 6 eyes in surprise. No species had ever responded like that. His communications officer, a young Zephyrian named Vexilok, looked confused. General, should we send another message? Perhaps they did not understand. They understood perfectly, Kethver said. His mandibles clicked together in anger. Begin the attack. Target their largest military installations first. Show them what happens when they refuse the Empire. The Zephyrian fleet moved toward Earth like a dark cloud. Their ships were sleek and powerful, made from metals that could survive the heat of a star. Energy weapons charged with enough power to level mountains. The humans had nothing that could match this technology. Or so Kethver thought. The first human ships that came to meet them looked like flying garbage. Old metal plates welded together. Engines that leaked radiation. Weapons that seemed to be bolted on as an afterthought. The general almost laughed. These humans were even more primitive than his scouts had reported. Commander Collins led the human fleet in a ship called the USS Liberty. The vessel was barely holding together. Sparks flew from damaged control panels. The hull had patches covering holes from previous battles. But Collins did not seem worried. He opened a communication channel to all human ships. All right, boys and girls. These alien jerks think they can just show up and take our planet. What do you say we teach them about human hospitality? The response from the human fleet was immediate. Cheers and battle cries filled the communication channels. The ships spread out in a formation that made no sense to Kethver. They were not following any known military strategy. They moved like a pack of wild animals instead of trained soldiers. Battle began when the Zephyrians fired their main weapons. Beams of pure energy shot through space toward the human ships. Most of the beams hit their targets, but the humans did something unexpected. Instead of trying to dodge or retreat, they kept coming forward. Even ships that were badly damaged continued to attack. Collins's ship took a direct hit that destroyed half of his weapons. His response was to push his engines to maximum power and fly straight at the nearest Zephyrian cruiser. His crew thought he was planning a ramming attack, but Collins had a different idea. At the last second, he fired his remaining missiles and pulled his ship into a sharp turn. The missiles hit the Zephyrian ship's shield generator just as Collins passed by. The explosion destroyed the generator and sent feedback through the enemy's power grid. The cruiser's shields failed, and 3 other human ships immediately focused their fire on the now defenseless target. Cathvar watched in shock as his cruiser exploded. No primitive species had ever penetrated Zephyrian shields before. His tactical officer reported that the humans had somehow caused a cascade failure in the shield matrix. This should have been impossible with their crude weapons, but the humans were just getting started. Captain Lisa Martinez commanded a group of converted mining ships. These vessels were not built for war, but Martinez and her crews had spent months adding weapons and armor. When the main battle began, she led her miners around the edge of the Zephyrian formation. The aliens ignored the mining ships at first. They looked too weak to be a threat. This was a mistake. Martinez waited until the Zephyrian fleet was fully engaged with Collins's forces. Then she attacked from behind. The mining ships carried drilling equipment designed to cut through asteroids. Martinez had her engineers modify the drills to work as weapons. When her ships got close to the Zephyrian rear guard, they activated their drilling beams and began cutting through enemy hulls like they were made of paper. The Zephyrian ships had strong shields and armor on their front and sides, but their rear sections were less protected. The human mining drills found every weak point and exploited them without mercy. Within minutes, 6 Zephyrian destroyers were floating dead in space. General Cathvar felt something he had never experienced before: fear. His perfectly planned attack was falling apart. The humans were not fighting like any species he had encountered. They used their own ships as weapons. They turned mining equipment into military hardware. They attacked from directions that no sane commander would consider. The battle raged for 3 hours. The humans lost twice as many ships as the Zephyrians, but they kept fighting with a determination that bordered on madness. Every time Cathvar thought he had them beaten, they would do something impossible. Commander Collins, his ship now missing an entire section, but still flying, managed to get close to Cathvar's flagship. The human commander opened a communication channel. "Hey, General whatever your name is. Having fun yet? Because we're just getting warmed up." Collins then did something that would be talked about in military academies across the galaxy for centuries. He activated his ship's self-destruct sequence and rammed the USS Liberty directly into the flagship's main shield generator. The explosion was massive. The flagship survived, but its shields were completely destroyed. Worse, the explosion sent an electromagnetic pulse through the Zephyrian formation that disabled the targeting systems on half the remaining ships. Cathvar looked at the tactical display and felt his confidence crumble. He had started the day with 200 ships and complete technological superiority. Now he had 130 ships, no shields on his flagship, and an enemy that seemed to get stronger every time he hit them. The human fleet regrouped around Earth's moon. They had lost many ships, but their spirit was unbroken. Collins was dead, but other commanders had already stepped up to take his place. They sent a message to the Zephyrian fleet. "Round 1 goes to us, aliens. Want to try round 2? For this first time in his military career, General Cathvar considered retreat. These humans were not like any species he had ever fought. They were too stubborn to give up, too clever to predict, and too crazy to understand. He looked at his tactical officer. "Send a message to High Command. Request immediate reinforcements, and tell them we're going to need a lot more ships." 3 days after the first battle, General Cathvar received his reinforcements. 40 more ships arrived from Zephyrian space, bringing his total fleet back to 170 vessels. The general had spent those 3 days studying human tactics and trying to understand how they had survived his initial attack. His military advisors suggested a new strategy. Instead of attacking Earth directly, they would surround the human moon base and cut off all supply lines. Luna Base was the center of human mining operations and their main source of rare metals. Without it, the humans would have no materials to build new ships or repair damaged ones. Captain Lisa Martinez commanded Luna Base. She was a tough woman who had spent 15 years mining asteroids before joining the Earth Defense Force. When the Zephyrian fleet took positions around the moon, she knew exactly what they were trying to do. Martinez called her senior staff to the command center. The room was cramped and filled with mining equipment that had been converted for military use. Chief Engineer Tony Rodriguez sat at a workstation covered with alien weapon fragments they had salvaged from the previous battle. "All right, people," Martinez said. "The aliens think they can starve us out. They've positioned their ships to block all supply routes from Earth. No ships can get through their blockade." Dr. Amy Foster, the base's science officer, looked at the tactical display. "How long can we hold out with current supplies?" 2 weeks, maybe 3 if we ration everything," Martinez replied. "But I don't plan on sitting here waiting for rescue." Rodriguez looked up from his workstation. "Captain, I've been studying the alien weapon fragments we collected. Their energy weapons work on a frequency modulation system. If we can modify our mining equipment to match that frequency, we might be able to punch through their shields." Martinez smiled. "What did you have in mind?" "The asteroid mining charges we use for blasting rock. They create focused explosions that can crack through the hardest materials. If I can modify them to work in space and add some of this alien technology, we could turn them into ship-killing missiles." Dr. Foster nodded. "The base's solar array could also be weaponized. It's designed to focus sunlight for power generation, but with some modifications, we could turn it into a concentrated energy beam." Martinez looked at her team. These were miners and scientists, not soldiers. But they had the same stubborn determination that every human seemed to possess. "How long do you need?" "Give me 48 hours, Rodriguez said, "and I'll give you weapons that will make those aliens think twice about blockading us." For 2 days, the crew of Luna Base worked without rest. They tore apart mining equipment and rebuilt it as weapons. They rewired the solar array to focus energy into a cutting beam. They loaded mining charges with alien technology and turned them into guided missiles. The Zephyrians watched these activities, but did not understand what the humans were doing. To alien eyes, it looked like the humans were just moving equipment around. General Kethver assumed they were preparing for a siege. He was wrong. On the 3rd day, Captain Martinez was ready to test their new weapons. She chose her target carefully. A Zephyrian destroyer had moved close to the base to scan for weak points in their defenses. It was the perfect test subject. "Rodriguez, are the mining charges ready?" she asked. "Yes, ma'am. I've loaded 6 charges into the cargo launcher. There, programmed to home in on the strongest energy signature." "Foster, how about the solar array?" "The focusing system is online. I can target any ship within 50,000 kilometers." Martinez opened a communication channel to the Zephyrian destroyer. "Alien ship, this is Luna Base. You are in violation of our mining claim. Move away immediately, or face the consequences." The Zephyrian captain laughed. "Foolish humans. You are surrounded and outnumbered. Surrender now, and we will make your deaths quick." "Wrong answer," Martinez said. She turned to Rodriguez. "Fire the mining charges." 6 modified asteroid charges, launched from Luna Base's cargo system. They looked like simple mining equipment to the Zephyrian sensors, so the destroyer did not take any defensive action. The charges approached the ship and activated their guidance systems. The first charge hit the destroyer's rear engine section. The explosion was designed to crack through solid rock, and it tore through the ship's hull like paper. The second and third charges hit the weapons array and disabled half the ship's guns. The remaining charges struck the shield generator and caused a massive power surge. The Zephyrian destroyer was crippled in less than 30 seconds. "Foster, finish them off," Martinez ordered. Dr. Foster activated the modified solar array. The system focused sunlight into a beam so intense it could cut through steel. She aimed it at the destroyer's main reactor and fired. The concentrated solar energy sliced through the ship's armor and penetrated the reactor core. The destroyer exploded in a brilliant flash of light that could be seen from Earth. General Cathvar watched the destruction of his destroyer with growing anger. The humans had somehow turned mining equipment into military weapons. His science officer reported that the mining charges contained Zephyrian technology, but modified in ways that their own engineers had never considered. "How is this possible?" Cathvar demanded. "They are using our own weapons against us." "General, the humans appear to have reverse-engineered our technology and combined it with their own systems. The result is crude but effective." Cathvar decided. To teach the humans a lesson, he ordered 10 ships to attack Luna Base directly. The humans had gotten lucky with one destroyer, but they could not fight an entire squadron. The attack began at dawn. 10 Zephyrian cruisers approached the moon base with weapons charged and shields at maximum power. They expected to destroy the base in a single coordinated strike. Captain Martinez was ready for them. She had spent the night preparing more surprises. "Rodriguez, deploy the minefield," she ordered. The chief engineer grinned and pressed a series of buttons. Dozens of mining charges that had been placed around the base activated. But these charges were different. Instead of explosive warheads, they contained electromagnetic pulse generators taken from damaged Zephyrian ships. As the alien cruisers approached, they triggered the hidden mines. Electromagnetic pulses flooded their systems and disabled their weapons and shields. The ships were suddenly defenseless. "All batteries, open fire," Martinez commanded. Luna Base erupted with weapons fire. Modified mining lasers, improvised missile launchers, and the weaponized solar array all focused on the disabled Zephyrian ships. The aliens had no shields and no weapons. They were sitting ducks. 7 of the 10 cruisers were destroyed in the first minute of the battle. The remaining 3 tried to retreat, but Martinez was not finished with them. "Launch the miners," she ordered. 3 converted mining ships launched from Luna Base's docking bay. These vessels were designed to work in asteroid fields, so they were heavily armored and equipped with powerful cutting tools. The pilots were miners who knew how to maneuver in tight spaces and handle dangerous equipment. The mining ships caught the retreating Zephyrian cruisers before they could escape. Using their drilling equipment as weapons, they cut through the alien hulls and disabled the ship's engines. Within minutes, all 3 cruisers were dead in space. The battle was over in less than an hour. 10 Zephyrian ships had been destroyed by what the aliens considered a minor mining outpost. General Cathvar stared at his tactical display in disbelief. "General," his communications officer reported, "we're receiving a message from the human base." "Put it through," Cathvar said. Captain Martinez's voice filled the bridge. "Attention Zephyrian fleet. This is Luna Base. You just attacked a civilian mining operation. That was your first mistake. Your second mistake was thinking you could beat us with a half-hearted attack. If you want to try again, bring more ships. You're going to need them." The communication channel closed, leaving the Zephyrian bridge in silence. General Cathvar had lost 11 ships to a mining base that used jury-rigged equipment and improvised weapons. His perfectly planned siege had become a disaster. He looked at his tactical officer. "How many ships do the humans have left?" "Intelligence reports indicate they have approximately 60 combat vessels remaining, and we have 159 ships." "Yes, General." Cathvar studied the tactical display. By all military logic, he should still win this conflict easily. But these humans did not follow military logic. They turned mining equipment into weapons. They used their own technology in ways that should be impossible. They fought like every battle was their last chance to survive. Send another message to High Command, Kethver ordered. Request additional reinforcements. And tell them to send War Prince Vextar with the 4th Battle Group. General, is that necessary? The 4th Battle Group has 300 ships. Kethver looked at the wreckage of his destroyed vessels floating around the human moon base. With these humans, I'm beginning to think it might not be enough. News of the human resistance spread through the galaxy faster than light itself. On the planet Kepler 442b, the Andromedian Council watched communication intercepts with growing amazement. They had surrendered to a Zephyrian force of only 50 ships just 2 years ago. Now they were seeing reports of humans destroying Zephyrian vessels with mining equipment. Admiral Helen Carter received her promotion to fleet commander while standing in the ruins of her previous ship. The USS Yorktown had been destroyed in the second battle, but Carter and most of her crew had survived. Now she stood on the bridge of the newly commissioned USS Constitution, looking at intelligence reports from across the galaxy. Ma'am, her? Intelligence Officer Lieutenant Commander Steve Murphy said, "We're getting unofficial communications from at least 12 different species. They're sharing Zephyrian fleet movement data with us." Carter smiled. "Looks like we're not as alone as we thought. What kind of information are they sending?" "Patrol routes, supply schedules, weak points in Zephyrian ship designs. The Kepler Andromedians even sent us blueprints of Zephyrian shield generators." Dr. Rachel Kim, the fleet's chief science officer, looked up from her computer. "Admiral, I've been analyzing the alien technology we've captured. I think I know why our weapons are so effective against them." "Explain." "The Zephyrians build their technology to be perfect. Every system is designed to work exactly as intended with no variation. But that makes them predictable. When we modify their technology with our own equipment, we create combinations they never expected." Carter nodded. "Keep working on it, Doctor. We're going to need every advantage we can get." 3 days later, War Prince Vextar arrived with the 4th Battle Group. His fleet of 300 ships was the largest force the Zephyrian Empire had ever sent against a single planet. Vextar was known throughout the galaxy as a brilliant military commander who had never lost a battle. The War Prince met with General Kethvar aboard the flagship Dominator. Vextar was younger than Kethvar, but had twice as many victories. His confidence filled the room like a physical presence. "General, I have read your reports about these humans," Vextar said. "Your descriptions seem exaggerated. How can a primitive species destroy our ships with mining equipment?" Kethvar activated a holographic display showing the wreckage around Luna Base. "See for yourself, War Prince. 11 of my ships destroyed by a single mining outpost." Vextar studied the display with growing interest. "Fascinating. They appear to have weaponized their industrial equipment. Crude but effective. They do not fight like any species we have encountered," Kethvar warned. "They use tactics that no military academy teaches. They sacrifice ships without hesitation. They turn their weaknesses into strengths. Every species thinks they are unique," Vextar replied. "I have conquered 43 worlds, General. These humans will fall like all the others." Admiral Carter knew the Zephyrians had received reinforcements. Her scouts reported a massive alien fleet gathering near Jupiter. The humans were outnumbered 5 to 1, but Carter had learned not to think in terms of conventional warfare. She called a meeting of her senior commanders. The group included Captain Martinez from Luna Base, Lieutenant Commander Murphy, and Dr. Kim. They met in the Constitution's war room, surrounded by tactical displays and alien technology. "Ladies and gentlemen," Carter began, "we're facing the largest alien fleet in galactic history. By all military logic, we should retreat to Earth's surface and prepare for a siege. Murphy frowned. Admiral, that sounds like a reasonable strategy. Carter smiled. Since when have we been reasonable? Dr. Kim, what's the status on your research? I've made a breakthrough, Admiral. Instead of trying to match alien technology, I've been focusing on integration, combining human innovation with alien components in ways they never intended. Dr. Kim activated a holographic display showing a new ship design. This is the prototype hybrid warship. It uses Zephyrian power systems, human weapons, and a combination of both species' shield technology. The design looked like nothing any military engineer had ever conceived. Human weapons were mounted on alien hulls. Zephyrian shield generators were connected to human computers. The entire ship seemed to violate several laws of physics. How many can we build? Carter asked. We have enough captured alien technology for 12 ships. But Admiral, I should warn you, these ships are completely experimental. I have no idea if they'll work in combat. Lieutenant Commander Murphy stepped forward. Admiral, request permission to command the prototype. Granted. What are you going to call her? Murphy grinned. The USS Defiance. While the humans worked on their new ships, War Prince Vexstar prepared his attack. He had studied human tactics and believed he understood their strategy. The humans relied on surprise and unconventional weapons. Therefore, he would attack with overwhelming force and give them no time to improvise. The battle began at dawn on the 4th day. Vexstar led his entire fleet in a direct assault on the human position. Near Earth's moon, 300 Zephyrian ships advanced in perfect formation, their weapons charged and shields at maximum power. Admiral, Carter met them with 67 human ships and 12 experimental hybrids. The odds were terrible, but the humans had stopped caring about odds weeks ago. All ships, this is Admiral Carter, she broadcast to her fleet. Today we show these aliens what happens when you mess with Earth. Give them hell. The two fleets met in the space between Earth and its moon. The battle was unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. War Prince Vexstar opened with a coordinated barrage from his entire fleet. Energy beams and missiles filled space as the Zephyrians tried to destroy the human force in a single, overwhelming attack. But the humans were no longer where the aliens expected them to be. Admiral Carter had learned from previous battles. Instead of meeting the alien attack head-on, she split her fleet into small groups that attacked from multiple directions. The hybrid ships confused Zephyrian sensors with their mixed technology signatures. Lieutenant Commander Murphy, commanding. The USS Defiance demonstrated the capabilities of the new hybrid technology. His ship appeared on Zephyrian sensors as 3 different vessels at once. When a Zephyrian cruiser targeted him, Murphy activated what Dr. Kim called controlled micro-wormholes. The result was spectacular. The Defiance seemed to fold space around itself, appearing behind the Zephyrian cruiser in a maneuver that violated everything the aliens knew about physics. Murphy fired his hybrid weapons at point-blank range and destroyed the cruiser in seconds. Captain Martinez, commanding a squadron of converted mining ships, used the confusion to attack the Zephyrian supply vessels. Her miners cut through alien hulls with their drilling equipment while the main battle raged around them. The battle lasted 6 hours. When it was over, War Prince Vexstar had lost 93 ships. The humans had lost 22 vessels, but they had proven something important. Human technology, combined with alien components and pure determination, could defeat anything the galaxy could throw at them. Vexstar retreated to a safe distance and sent an urgent message to the Zephyrian High Command. Request immediate strategic consultation. Human capabilities exceed all previous estimates. They have developed hybrid technology that our sensors cannot properly track. Recommend complete reevaluation of invasion strategy. General Kethver found no satisfaction in being proven right. He had warned Vexstar about human capabilities, but the War Prince had not listened. Now they faced an enemy that was growing, stronger with every battle. War Prince, Kethver said, perhaps it is time to consider withdrawal. Vexstar's mandibles clicked in anger. The Zephyrian Empire does not retreat from primitive species. These humans are no longer primitive. They are adapting our technology faster than we can counter it. Every battle teaches them new ways to fight us. Dr. Kim worked through the night analyzing wreckage from the battle. Each piece of alien technology gave her new ideas for human improvements. She had already begun designing the next generation of hybrid ships. Admiral Carter studied reports from the battle and felt a growing confidence. The humans were not just surviving anymore. They were winning. She opened a communication channel to the Zephyrian fleet. War Prince Vexstar, this is Admiral Carter. I know you're listening. You came here thinking you could conquer Earth with superior technology. You were wrong. We don't just adapt to your weapons. We improve them. We don't just survive your tactics. We turn them against you. Carter paused, knowing her words were being recorded by intelligence services across the curse galaxy. You want to know what makes humans dangerous? We don't accept limitations. When you tell us something is impossible, we find a way to do it anyway. When you bring superior technology, we steal it and make it better. When you outnumber us, we get creative. The communication channel closed, but Carter's message spread throughout galactic space. On dozens of worlds, species that had surrendered to Zephyrian forces began to wonder if resistance was possible. The humans had done more than defend their world. They had given the galaxy hope. Dr. Rachel Kim had not slept in 36 hours, but she was too excited to feel tired. In her laboratory deep inside Luna Base, she worked surrounded by pieces of Zephyrian technology that her team had collected from destroyed alien ships. Each fragment told a story about how the aliens built their weapons and ships. The problem with Zephyrian technology, she explained to Admiral Carter during a video conference, is that it's too perfect. Every component is designed to work in exactly one way. They never considered that someone might use their technology differently. Carter leaned forward on her screen. What do you mean, Doctor? Kim picked up a small device that looked like a crystal wrapped in metal wires. This is a Zephyrian power regulator. It's designed to control energy flow in their shield systems. But watch what happens when I connect it to human computer circuits. She plugged the device into a modified human computer. The screen immediately began showing readings that made no sense according to conventional physics. Energy levels fluctuated in patterns that seemed random, but somehow remained stable. The Zephyrian device is trying to regulate power according to its programming, Kim explained. But our computer is sending it signals it was never designed to handle. The result is a power system that operates beyond the normal limits of both technologies. Admiral Carter studied the readings. Can you scale this up to ship-sized systems? I'm already working on it. But Admiral, I need to warn you about something. The hybrid ships we've built so far are just the beginning. I think I can create something much more powerful. Kim activated another display showing her latest ship design. This vessel looked even stranger than the previous hybrids. Human and alien technologies were integrated so completely that it was impossible to tell where one ended and the other began. I call it the integration class. Instead of just combining human and alien components, this design treats both technologies as parts of a single system. The result should be a ship that operates beyond the capabilities of either species alone. Carter looked at the design with growing amazement. How long do you need to build a prototype? Give me 1 week, Kim said, and I'll give you a ship that will make the Zephyrians think twice about invading anyone. While Dr. Kim worked on her new design, Colonel Ben Hughes prepared for his next mission. Hughes commanded the USS Defiance, the first hybrid warship that had performed so well in the previous battle. He was a pilot who had learned to fly by racing cargo haulers through asteroid fields, and he understood how to make ships do things their designers never intended. Hughes studied intelligence reports about Zephyrian fleet movements. War Prince Vexstar had positioned his remaining ships in a defensive formation around Jupiter. The aliens were waiting for more reinforcements before attempting another attack on Earth. Ben, Admiral Carter said during their planning meeting, "I want you to take the Defiance and show these aliens that we're not just defending anymore. We're going on the offensive." Hughes grinned. "What did you have in mind, Admiral?" "There's a Zephyrian supply depot on Titan. Intelligence reports indicate they're using it to repair damaged ships and store weapons. I want you to destroy it. Just the Defiance against an entire supply depot? You'll have support. Captain Martinez is sending 3 mining ships, and Lieutenant Murphy is taking 2 reconnaissance vessels. But Ben, this mission depends on the capabilities of your hybrid ship. Can the Defiance handle it?" Hughes looked at the mission plan. The supply depot was defended by 20 Zephyrian ships and had enough firepower to level a small moon. By conventional, military thinking, the mission was impossible. "Admiral," Hughes said, "since when have we let impossible stop us?" 2 days later, Hughes led his small fleet toward Titan. The USS Defiance had been modified with Dr. Kim's latest improvements, including what she called adaptive stealth technology. The ship could change its sensor signature to match whatever the enemy was looking for. As they approached Saturn's moon, Hughes activated the stealth system. To Zephyrian sensors, the human ships appeared to be chunks of ice and rock drifting through space. The aliens had no reason to suspect that 5 warships were hiding among the natural debris. "All ships, this is Hughes," he broadcast to his small fleet. "Remember, we hit fast and hard. The moment they realize we're here, they'll call for reinforcements." Captain Martinez responded from her lead mining ship. "Roger that, Colonel. My miners are ready to show these aliens how we demolish things in the solar system." The attack began when Martinez's ships activated their drilling equipment. The Zephyrians had positioned their guard ships to watch for approaching vessels, but they were not prepared for an attack that came from what appeared to be floating rocks. 3 Zephyrian destroyers were cut in half before their crews even realized they were under attack. The mining ship's drilling beams sliced through alien hulls like they were made of soft metal. Hughes waited until the surviving Zephyrian ships began to respond. Then he activated the Defiance's most experimental weapon system. Dr. Kim had called it weaponized gravity manipulation, but Hughes preferred to think of it as making physics very hangry. The Defiance created a gravity field that pulled 2 Zephyrian cruisers together with tremendous force. The ships collided and exploded, taking out a 3rd vessel in the resulting blast. Lieutenant Murphy's reconnaissance ships used the confusion to attack the supply depot's main storage facilities. Their missiles were small but precisely targeted. Each explosion set off a chain reaction that destroyed entire sections of the depot. The battle lasted only 20 minutes. When it was over, the Zephyrian supply depot was completely destroyed, along with 15 of the 20 guard ships. The human fleet escaped without losing a single vessel. War Prince Vexstar received the news while meeting with General Keffer aboard the flagship Dominator. The report was brief and devastating. The humans had somehow penetrated his defensive perimeter and destroyed a major supply base using only 5 ships. How is this possible? Vexstar demanded. 20 ships were guarding that depot. General Keffer looked at the tactical display, showing the wreckage on Titan. War Prince, I have been fighting these humans for weeks. They do not follow conventional military strategy. They use technology in ways that should be impossible. General, You speak as if they possess some kind of supernatural power. Perhaps they do, Kethvar replied. They call it ingenuity. Doctor. Kim completed her integration class prototype on schedule. The new ship was built around a completely revolutionary concept. Instead of human technology controlling alien components, or alien technology controlling human components, both systems worked together as equal partners. The result was a vessel that seemed to bend the laws of physics. Its engines could accelerate the ship to speeds that should tear it apart, but hybrid structural systems kept it intact. Its weapons could punch through any known shield, but they operated on principles that no single species had ever discovered. Colonel Hughes volunteered to test the new ship. He named it the USS Revolution because he said it would revolutionize space warfare. The test flight took place in the asteroid belt, far from any Zephyrian ships. Hughes wanted to understand the ship's capabilities before taking it into combat. Dr. Kim, he said over the communication system, your ship is incredible. The power output readings are off the charts, but all systems are stable. Kim monitored the test from Luna Base. Colonel, try activating the integrated weapon system, but be careful. The theoretical power output could destroy a small moon. Hughes targeted a large asteroid and fired. The result was beyond anything he had expected. The weapon created what appeared to be a controlled micro-wormhole that completely consumed the asteroid. When the effect ended, the asteroid was simply gone. Dr. Kim, Hughes said quietly, I think we just broke physics. Colonel, according to my readings, you created a localized space-time distortion that effectively erased the target from existence. Hughes stared at the empty space where the asteroid had been. Can this weapon be used against Zephyrian ships? In theory, yes, but Colonel, I must warn you. This technology is completely experimental. I have no idea what the long-term effects might be. News of the humans' latest breakthrough reached the Zephyrian High Command through intelligence networks. The report was so unbelievable that most officials assumed it was a mistake. No species had ever developed weapons that could manipulate space-time. General Kethvar read the intelligence report with growing alarm. The humans had not just adapted Zephyrian technology. They had transcended it. They were creating weapons and ships that operated beyond the known laws of physics. War Prince Vikstar dismissed the report as human propaganda. These claims are impossible. No primitive species could develop such advanced technology. War Prince Kethvar said carefully, perhaps it is time to accept that these humans are not primitive. Vextar's mandibles clicked in anger. General, you seem to have developed an irrational fear of these creatures. I have developed a healthy respect for an enemy that turns our own technology against us. They have destroyed nearly 200 of our ships using mining equipment and improvised weapons. Now they claim to have developed space-time manipulation technology. Claims and reality are different things. General Kethvar looked at the tactical display showing the deployment of Zephyrian forces throughout the Sol system. His fleet was Lathe Final Battle began 3 weeks later in the asteroid belt between Mars and Jupiter. War Prince Vextar had assembled the largest fleet in Zephyrian history. 600 ships formed, a massive formation that stretched across millions of kilometers of space. Every vessel was armed with the most advanced weapons the Empire could produce. Admiral Carter met them with 93 human ships, including 7 of Dr. Kim's integration-class vessels. The odds were worse than 6 to 1, but the humans had long ago stopped caring about mathematical probabilities. General Kethvar stood on the bridge of his flagship and watched the human fleet approach. The alien ships moved in formations that made no tactical sense. Some vessels flew in tight groups, while others spread out across vast distances. It looked more like organized chaos than military strategy. War Prince, Kethvar said, The humans are deploying in an unusual pattern. Vextar studied the tactical display with confidence. It does not matter how they deploy, General. We have 6 times as many ships. This battle will end the human resistance. But Admiral Carter had no intention of fighting a conventional battle. She had spent weeks studying the asteroid belt and developing a strategy that would use the environment itself as a weapon. All ships, this is Admiral Carter, she broadcast to her fleet. Execute Operation Rock Slide. The human ships immediately scattered throughout the asteroid belt. Instead of forming a traditional battle line, they took positions among the floating rocks and debris. Each ship selected asteroids that could be used as weapons or shields. Colonel Ben Hughes, commanding the USS Revolution, positioned his ship near a cluster of large asteroids. His crew had spent days preparing for this moment. They had attached small engines to dozens of asteroids and programmed them to respond to remote commands. Captain Lisa Martinez led her mining ships to the largest asteroid in the belt. Her crews had been working for weeks to hollow out the massive rock and fill it with explosives. The asteroid was now essentially a bomb the size of a small moon. War Prince Vextar watched the human deployment with growing confusion. What are they doing? They are hiding among the asteroids like cowards. General Kethvar felt a familiar sense of unease. War Prince, I recommend caution. The humans have used unconventional tactics in every previous battle. They can hide among rocks all they want, Vextar replied. Our weapons can destroy asteroids as easily as ships. Vextar ordered his fleet to advance into the asteroid belt. The Zephyrian ships moved in perfect formation, their weapons charged and shields at maximum power. They expected to find the human ships hiding behind rocks like frightened animals. Instead, they found themselves in the middle of the most complex trap ever constructed in space, not Admiral Carter waited until the Zephyrian fleet was fully committed to the asteroid belt. Then she gave the order that would change galactic warfare forever. All units, activate the field. Suddenly, hundreds of asteroids throughout the belt began moving. The rocks that the Zephyrians thought were natural obstacles were actually components of a massive weapon system. Engines attached to the asteroids fired in coordination, sending the rocks flying toward Zephyrian ships at tremendous speeds. War Prince Vextar watched in shock as asteroids the size of city blocks slammed into his vessels. The Zephyrian shields could stop energy weapons and missiles, but they were not designed to handle multi-ton rocks moving at orbital velocities. Evasive maneuvers, Vextar ordered. Get us out of this asteroid field. But the humans were not finished. Colonel Hughes activated the next phase of the plan. The USS Revolution and the other integration class ships began using their gravity manipulation weapons to redirect asteroids in flight. Rocks that missed their targets curved back around for second attacks. The asteroid belt became a 3-dimensional minefield where every piece of debris was a potential weapon. Zephyrian ships found themselves under constant bombardment from rocks that seemed to move with intelligent purpose. Captain Martinez waited until the Zephyrian fleet was completely confused by the asteroid attacks. Then she triggered her surprise. The massive asteroid that her crews had prepared exploded like a nuclear bomb, sending fragments flying in all directions at incredible speeds. The explosion created a shockwave that disabled 50 Zephyrian ships and destroyed their navigation systems. Worse, the fragments from the asteroid spread throughout the battle area, creating even more debris for the humans to use as weapons. General Kethvar watched his tactical display as red symbols representing destroyed ships multiplied across the screen. The humans had turned the entire asteroid belt into a weapon, and his fleet was being systematically torn apart by flying rocks. War Prince, he said urgently, we must retreat. The humans have weaponized the entire battlefield. Vextar's confidence finally began to crack. How is this possible? They are using asteroids as guided missiles. They are using everything as weapons, Kethver replied. That is what makes them so dangerous. But Admiral Carter was not content to just defend. She had spent months planning this battle, and she intended to end the Zephyrian threat permanently. All ships, begin the final phase, she ordered. Show them what humans do to bullies. The integration-class ships activated their most powerful weapons. Dr. Kim's spacetime. Manipulation technology created localized distortions that made navigation impossible for the Zephyrian fleet. Ships found themselves suddenly facing the wrong direction or moving backward through space. Lieutenant Commander Steve Murphy, now commanding his own integration-class vessel, used his gravity weapons to pull a Zephyrian dreadnought into a cluster of asteroids. The massive ship was crushed like an insect between rocks. Colonel Hughes took the USS Revolution directly at the Zephyrian flagship. His ship's hybrid stealth systems made it invisible to alien sensors until it was too late to respond. Hughes fired his main weapon at point-blank range, creating a space-time distortion that erased half of the enemy flagship from existence. War Prince Vextar found himself on a ship that was missing its entire rear section. Emergency force fields were the only thing keeping his crew alive. Around him, the pride of the Zephyrian fleet was being destroyed by an enemy that fought with rocks and impossible physics. General Kethvar, he said quietly, I believe I understand your concerns about these humans. The battle raged for 8 hours. When it finally ended, the Zephyrian fleet had been completely destroyed. Of the 600 ships that entered the asteroid belt, only 12 escaped. The human fleet had lost 31 vessels, but they had won the most decisive victory in galactic history. General Kethvar found himself in command of one of the few surviving Zephyrian ships. War Prince Vextar was dead, killed when the flagship's bridge was torn apart by asteroid fragments. Most of the Zephyrian command structure had been eliminated. As his damaged ship limped away from the battlefield, Kethvar composed a message that would be remembered throughout the galaxy for centuries. This is General Kethvar of the Zephyrian Empire to all Imperial forces. Abort all operations against the Sol system immediately. Recommend complete withdrawal from human space and immediate reclassification of the human species. He paused, looking at the tactical display that showed the wreckage of the greatest fleet his people had ever assembled. The humans have demonstrated capabilities that exceed all known military doctrine. They do not just adapt to our weapons, they improve them. They do not just survive our tactics, they turn them against us. They have weaponized their entire solar system and developed technology that operates beyond the laws of physics as we understand them. Kethvar's voice grew quieter as he continued his report. These humans are too damn overpowered. They refuse to accept the limitations of their technology, their situation, or apparently the fundamental laws of the universe. They turn mining equipment into weapons of war. They use asteroids as guided missiles. They manipulate space and time itself to defeat their enemies. The general looked out at the stars and realized that the galaxy had changed forever. I am recommending immediate reclassification of humans to category Apex Predator. Any species that can turn an asteroid belt into a weapon system while simultaneously developing space-time manipulation. Technology represents a threat beyond our ability to counter. The message was transmitted throughout Zephyrian space, and due to intelligence intercepts to every major power in the galaxy. Within hours, the recording was being played in government buildings on hundreds of worlds. Admiral Carter received the transmission while standing on the observation deck of Luna Base. Around her, the wreckage of the Zephyrian fleet drifted through. Space like a monument to human determination. Dr. Rachel Kim joined her at the viewing window. Admiral, We're receiving communication requests from the Galactic Council. They want to discuss formal diplomatic relations. Carter smiled. Tell them we're open to discussion, but make it clear that Earth is not interested in being anyone's subject species. Admiral, Kim continued, I'm also receiving requests from 17 different species. They want to know if we can help them. Develop defense technologies. Carter nodded. The humans had not just defended their world. They had proven that technological superiority could be overcome by determination and creativity. Every oppressed species in the galaxy